Hey, how's everybody doing today? It's Raven here with another vlog episode. Been pretty busy the last few days, and been on the East Coast, so for what it's worth, it's very hard to film when it gets dark out. The lighting in here is not that good, and I want you to actually be able to see me, otherwise it's just me doing a podcast. So we're actually out here in Wyoming right now, and it's amazing. The last time I was out here, probably less than a month ago, it was probably about 3 weeks ago. It was, 90 to 100 degrees easily out here. And now it's in the 50s. In fact, even some of the hills that are out here already have snow on them. So this is, it's time of year that it starts to change out here. And it does it here faster than some other parts of the country, mainly because there's more mountains here. There's not really a sea breeze that they can get. And so they're just going to get hit by it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm stopped for my 30, which is, my usual time when I record these. And I'm trying to think of what to talk about. I know there's a project that's going to be coming up for me shortly, but I can't talk about it yet. My wife talked about it, it's told me about it, and, it might be very interesting when it comes up. But for now, it's still just going to be this. A lot of political stuff is going on right now that I'm really not happy about. And I'd love to talk about it, but I don't know if I have enough time on these to actually give it due justice. And so for right now, I'm just not going to talk about it. I will talk about a few things with the truck. This is something that if you ever come out here, you'll have to get used to, which is the fact that the truck is going to do what it wants to do, whether it's going to work or not. You can do all the preventative maintenance you want on these trucks, and it can still break down. Case in point, we had 3 error codes that popped up on our truck. And each one of those error codes means that there's something wrong with the engine or something like that. Each one of these meant it was based off of the emission system. And emissions are a big thing with these trucks now, especially in states like California. They want to lower the amount of particles and stuff that we toss into the air. And I can understand that. I mean, these things used to be very dirty trucks. I mean, you could see a truck going down the road and you could see the big, thick black smoke coming out of the smokestacks. You don't really see that anymore. You do every so often. You actually see more white smoke rather than black smoke out here every now and then, and that's usually because someone is either they have an engine problem or the truck is running what's called a regeneration and is cleaning that stuff out. So and if I talked about it in a previous video, we have stuff called DEF, and I said it is called aqueous urea. I don't exactly know the chemistry involved and why it works the way it does. But what it is supposed to do is that it gets atomized and it gets shot into where the regeneration is done in these trucks. And it gets up to such a high temperature that it burns off even more of the particles that are harmful to the environment. I'd love someone to try and figure out how that is doing it, because it literally, aqueous urea, the more likely the way that they probably get it is through cow urine. And I'd still like to figure out how somebody figured out, hey, this could actually be good for diesel engines. They require this on all diesel trucks, all the newest diesel trucks, including regular personal trucks like F-250s and stuff like that. Any of them that are diesels, they're now starting to require them on that. And I've heard that they're going to put them on diesel generators, stuff like that. I don't know if that's a good thing. I kind of think that we might be going a little bit overboard by adding yet another thing that we have to add to these engines that we don't really know what it's doing. And to make matters worse, it actually, when we switched to the ultra low sulfur diesel out here, one of the things that it did to the industry was that it actually made diesel more damaging to the engines. And that's because the original diesel that they had could lubricate the engine a bit. This stuff does not have that ability in it. And for that, one of the things they had to add was the biodiesel to help with that. But that still doesn't add enough, so they've actually come out with new additives to pour into the tanks to help with that. So all we did was we fixed one problem and created a couple others along with it. I mean, there's got to be a balancing point, right? So going back to one of the other topics, someone talked about automated trucks. Sure, you could automate the driving part of it, but there's a lot of stuff that has to be done by hand that can't be done by a machine yet. Opening the doors, sliding the tandems around, hooking up to a new trailer and making sure all the lines are hooked up, fueling it. All of these fuel pumps, you still got to put somebody back there to fuel them up. Any number of those, yeah, they sound easy to do, but to actually do maintenance on the truck, like to make sure that all the tires are the right pressure, you would need another sensor. If the sensor goes bad, it doesn't know what to do. We have sensors on these trucks that go bad all the time, or that cause a false positive. The anti-lock brake system that's on our trailers, that thing is probably one of the most, probably throws up the most faulty codes out of any of the systems that we've got. And there could be absolutely nothing wrong with it. It could be that it's just something that got dirty on the sensor. So keep that stuff in mind. If I was going to see automation happen anywhere, the places that I would think that it should happen first would be with the railroads. And that's because they own the lines themselves. But I don't know if any of you would be willing to let a freight train go completely automated. And I'm not talking commuter trains, because some of them have already started doing that. The metro system in DC used to do that during the busiest times. They would turn on the automated system, and it worked well until one of the sensors failed, and some people got killed in an accident. But think about that for a moment. A freight train that's carrying any number of different things. They carry more stuff than we do. They're not as fast as we are, but they carry just about everything too, from hazardous materials to coal, oil, fuel, radioactive stuff, and I mean there's a lot of harmless stuff, but they also carry like trash, medical waste, stuff like that. You got to think of whether you would want that going down a railroad track near your town with nobody behind it, with nobody watching what's going on. So those are certain things to think about. Anyway, that's all I've got here. This is Raven. I'm out.